A couple of small sort of vocabulary points I'd just like to make clear. If I use the word faith, I'm talking about somebody's inner belief, their convictions, and you can have faith in a lot of things. If I'm using the word religion, I'm talking about an organized social sort of institution with its own texts and things like that, and leaders and so forth. So you can have faith in God and not belong to a religion. You can belong to a religion and not have faith in God, for that matter. Are you following me? That's how I'm going to be using the terms, I hope all members do. And we all know the difference between atheism and agnosticism, right? Somebody? Yeah.
Atheists don't believe in anything at all, and agnostics have some faith, I guess.
I wouldn't call that ideal. Yeah, but good try.
Agnostics need to have at least some form of proof that something is real, like based on it.
Agnostics need to have some form of truth. Again, I wouldn't. There's just, no, it's about God, okay? Atheism and agnosticism, it's about God. So when speaking about God, yeah.
Atheists don't believe in God, agnostics are on the fence on which God to believe in.
That's more what I'm looking for anyway, right? So did you hear what he said? Atheists believe there is no God. They don't believe in a God. They believe, in fact, there is no God. They have faith, if you will, that there is no God. Agnostics are on the fence, as he put it, or they're not sure. They don't know whether there's a God or not. They haven't decided yet. Following me? Just so that we are clear when I say atheist, if I do, or if I say agnostic, what I'm talking about. Okay, so the point I was trying to make about faith is that faith is an inner conviction, a trust that we have to eventually make. We have to trust something. And you can have faith in science as well as having faith in religion. And most of us, in fact, you can read this at home, but most of us, in fact, don't know enough about either science or religion to have an educated opinion about it. We have faith in one or the other or both because we don't know any better. Most of us haven't studied religion, even our own religion. Most of us have not studied science very carefully. And so we take it on faith that science is right, or we take it on faith that our religion is right. Maybe we take the science on faith because we can see that it can do things. So it cured somebody of cancer or something like that. So there's some evidence that science works. But really, none of us can go out and test things like how far away the sun is to make sure that science got that right. Most of us haven't even bothered to see if water really boils at 100 degrees, for instance, or something like that. So we just assume, well, it must be true, because the authorities agree with it, and it seems to work for people. Got us to the moon, and so on. Okay, many people, especially of a religious mind, would suggest that science is just one more religion, that people think about it or rather people believe in it unthinkingly, and that they've accepted it with a kind of faith, and that it is another. How many people here think that science is a form of religion? So, a few. It's a kind of something we take on faith. We don't really know enough about it. There are these high priests that tell us what to think. We have to accept what they say, and we don't really have any way of knowing for sure. Okay, if it's not a religion, what separates it from religion? Anybody have any ideas? Yeah.
Proof?
Proof?
Yes.
Sort of.
Like
but
the idea of testing your ideas and coming up with proper conclusions.
that's better, what she suggested there. Testing your ideas is part of science, yes.
The individuals who are quote-unquote preaching are not necessarily seen as invaluable.
Okay.
As humans with areas.
So in science, we may not have so many high priests, although we certainly do have our Stephen Hawkings and Albert Einsteins and whatnot. But
at the end of the day, he's still the Pope. He's not
That's right.
He's still a person.
right. Well, you also are drawing attention to another thing, but it's actually something that separates it from being a religion. That is that it doesn't give us moral guidance, actually, right? The science. So yeah.
There are some who believe that actually God was one of the best scientists in the world.
God was one of the best scientists. Okay. How would that work?
Well, if you believe in Christianity, you believe in God, you believe He made everything, then science isn't like is part of everything that He created.
True.
Yeah.
He created science.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get to that idea a little later, so good for you for bringing it up now. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to argue though that let's just pretend for a minute or entertain the idea that science is not a religion, and because it has these qualities that separate it from any religion I know of, okay, or from most religions anyway. This is what the scientific method is, and by the way, when I put something in red here, it's like when they used to print the Bibles with Jesus' words in red or whatever. So if I printed something in red, it's something you want to study for the exam, okay? Scientific method, and we talked a little bit about this last week with Galileo and all those people. But the scientific method, the way you arrive at truth is you observe nature, at least ideally, this is supposed to be how science works. You observe nature, you develop a hypothesis. Does anybody know what a hypothesis is? A theory of expected behavior, right. So it's kind of like an educated guess. You make your best guess what must be going on, but you're not sure that that's what's happening. Then you experiment with the hypothesis to see whether or not the hypothesis holds water. Does this still make sense? Water boils at 100 degrees. Well, let's try boiling water here at 100 degrees. Let's go to the top of a mountain and boil water at it and see if it boils at 100 degrees and so forth. That's experimentation, that's testing a hypothesis. And an important part of the scientific method is falsifying or attempting to falsify your theory or your hypothesis. So it's important, you're trying to make sure that you can't prove that what you think is right is wrong. You're testing it as hard as you can to try to see if you can falsify it. Well, let's take the water underwater and see if we still boils at 100 degrees or whatever. You try different situations to see if your hypothesis still works and so forth. And then if it can't be falsified over a long period of time, it becomes a theory. It's still only a theory, by the way. So I would really prefer if on the tests I don't see anybody say science believes in or uses facts, religion uses whatever, you know. Because it's not exactly facts. Most scientists would agree, and philosophers of science would agree, that science is hypotheses and theories. Nothing is absolutely proven. And sometime in the distant future, they may look back on us and say, can you believe those people thought the blood circulated? You know, because that's the theory we have now for what's going on. But they may have a different way, and I'll talk about this in a minute, a different paradigm for what really goes on that explains it better than what we think today. So again, science is about hypothesizing, and it's about trying to disprove your hypothesis. Questions? Or again, stop me if you're at all confused or it doesn't make sense to you. So, are they compatible, science and religion? Richard Dawkins, a scientist and atheist, says no. Kenneth Miller, who's talked about at the end of the article in the book, a biology professor and a